This is a city built for over 1 million people, but almost no one lives here. And it is not the only one. Across China, over 50 ghost cities and dozens of underoccupied developments stand largely empty, a financial mystery on a scale the world has never seen before. The biggest question isn't how this happened, it's why. The simple answer is that it's just a massive, failed construction project. But the truth is far more complex and far more dangerous. This isn't a story about bad planning. It's a story about a hidden economic machine, a system of flawed incentives, and a $130 trillion bubble that could change the world. To understand it, we have to become detectives. To follow the money, connect the clues from 40 years of history, and uncover the financial weapons that built these concrete ghosts. Our investigation begins 40 years ago. Before the ghost cities, before the bullet trains and megadams, China was a nation emerging from decades of isolation and poverty. For its leaders, one goal became more important than any other: economic growth, not just for prosperity, but for stability. And they created a powerful incentive system to ensure this happened. Local government officials were not judged on public services, but on one single number: their city's GDP. This created a nationwide race for growth. And the fastest way to boost GDP was through the largest and most rapid urbanization in human history. Hundreds of millions of people moved from the countryside to the cities, seeking jobs and a better life. This was a genuine economic miracle. For city officials in the GDP race, the path was clear. Steel, concrete, and glass were the fastest way to the finish line. The philosophy became, build it first, and the people will come later. The incentive was to build, not to ask if the building was actually needed. For a time, this strategy worked. The supply of new buildings met the genuine demand of a modernizing nation. But then, the incentive machine went into overdrive. The goal shifted from housing a nation to pure speculation. Across the country, real estate prices became disconnected from reality. It started in the coastal megacities, and then the fever spread inland. For the average family, watching their bank savings lose value to inflation, this wasn't just speculation. It was survival. An empty concrete apartment became the safest place to store their life's work. Real estate was no longer shelter, it was the only trusted bank in town. This speculative fire needed fuel, a truly mind-boggling amount of it. But there was a problem. Officially, Chinese cities were forbidden from borrowing money directly. So, to get around the rules, they created a ghost company, a financial weapon known as the Local Government Financial Vehicle, or LGFV. Think of it as a city's secret credit card. It's a separate company on paper, but it's really just a tool for the local government to do one thing: borrow. The LGFV would take city-owned land as collateral, go to the banks, and borrow billions. This debt never appeared on the city's official books. That money was then poured directly into building more subways, more bridges, and more empty apartment towers. This created a mountain of hidden debt, a structural weakness buried deep inside the foundations of China's economic miracle. But where did all this borrowed money actually come from? The answer is the most dangerous part of this story. It came from the life savings of millions of ordinary people. Banks sold products with reassuring names, like wealth management products, promising safe, high returns. But in reality, this was a bait and switch. The money was being funneled out the back door to fund the riskiest construction projects in the country. It created a terrifyingly fragile system. The life savings of the nation were now tied directly to the success of an increasingly speculative real estate bubble. This hidden machine operated in the shadows for years. But in 2021, the world saw it break down in real time, with the collapse of one company, Evergrande. Evergrande wasn't just a house builder, it was the ultimate symbol of this debt-fueled model. At its peak, it had over 1,300 projects in 280 cities. But it was all built on a house of cards. When the Chinese government finally tried to control the borrowing, the machine ground to a halt, and the company defaulted. The fallout was a human catastrophe. We saw the true cost of the ghost cities, the families who lost their life savings on apartments that would never be finished. So the mystery of the ghost cities is solved. This wasn't a case of bad architecture or poor planning. It was the inevitable result of a system where local governments were rewarded for growth at any cost. A system fueled by a hidden debt machine that operated in the shadows, beyond the reach of regulators. And all of it was paid for by the speculative hopes of millions who transformed their life savings into empty concrete boxes. That entire economic model has now ground to a halt. The bubble is no longer inflating, and the world is holding its breath for the fallout. This situation is what financial history calls a gray swan, a predictable, high-impact event that builds slowly in plain sight. It's a modern version of the historical disasters we've studied before, from the debt-fueled crash of 1929 to the systemic meltdown of 2008. Understanding how to identify these patterns, protect your wealth from the fallout, and even find opportunity in the chaos is the single most critical financial skill of the 21st century. It's the entire reason I wrote my book, The Black Swan Investor. It's a deep dive into the timeless lessons from history's greatest crises, designed to give you the blueprint for building a financial fortress that can withstand this exact kind of systemic risk. You can find it on Amazon by scanning the QR code on your screen now, or by using the link in the description below. With the bubble now deflating, the consequences are beginning to ripple outwards, beyond China's borders. First, the global supply chain. For decades, China was the world's factory, consuming half of the planet's concrete and steel. As construction stalls, that demand vanishes. Countries that sell these raw materials, like Australia and Brazil, feel the impact immediately. Second, the financial contagion. China's property developers borrowed billions from international banks and investors. Their defaults now create losses on balance sheets in London, New York, and Tokyo, a smaller echo of the 2008 crisis. So is this China's Lehman Brothers moment? Is the global financial system about to repeat the panic of 2008? The answer is likely no. And the reason is crucial to understand. The Chinese financial system has a firewall that the West did not control. Its largest banks are state-owned. It can command them to lend, even when it's not profitable. It can tell them to absorb losses to prevent a panic. And its capital controls act like a lock on the doors, preventing money from fleeing the country and turning a crisis into a full-blown collapse. So this is unlikely to be a sudden, catastrophic explosion. It is far more likely to be a long, slow, controlled demolition. A multi-decade process of slowly deflating the bubble, absorbing the losses, and accepting a future of much slower growth. So in the end, this was never just a story about China. The empty cities are a warning, written in concrete and steel for the entire world to see. It's a timeless lesson about what happens when incentives are flawed, pushing rational people to make collectively irrational decisions. A warning about the danger of hidden debt and the illusion of safety created by complexity. And most of all, it's a warning about what happens when a good story about the future becomes more important than the cold, hard numbers of the present. The details of this story are Chinese, but the patterns of human behavior are universal. Learning to see them is the key to surviving and thriving in an uncertain world. If this deep dive into the mechanics of a global financial event sparked your interest, you will definitely want to watch the videos appearing on your screen now. They explore the hidden systems that drive our world and challenge the way you think about money. And if you believe in understanding the world through a clear, evidence-based lens, make sure to subscribe for more videos that deconstruct the most complex topics in finance. Thank you for watching.